import the version 1.11 concept dictionary into MySQL. There's a, and then you do extract DB to generate JSON import files. And then right now we need to send those import files to Rafal, who actually runs the imports on the server. There's one additional step though, because for this import to work, the sources and organizations and like classes and then concepts need to exist in OCL for all of the kind of dependencies and the lookup tables and the mappings. And so there is there's a function built in that does that and that finds out what the gaps are. So I think I wanted to walk through that because I think there's enough steps that it would need, I'd probably need to be involved for this time, but it's worth us putting effort into automating that more.
Okay, yeah. So so you cannot walk through that right now because it's not set up yet for your machine, right?
Yeah, I'll try and get to it soon, but it's not quite ready. So I would guess, maybe next week we can have it out.
Okay. But just to add something on that, I think one of the things we're looking for is if you are deploying a version, like please deploy only released versions of Seal. The current version app was an unreleased version, and right now the platform had not been built with that in mind. So
that's why the concepts are not showing up when we display.
Oh no, that's a different thing. Yeah, that's a different issue. We're going to come to that. We get to that. But I think John, does that make sense? What I just said. So the current version of Seal that is on both QA and demo is an unreleased one.
But the current version is what? Sorry.
Is unreleased. So okay, let me just jump to that. Demo. Just a moment, Seal. Right. Just ahead. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, can you guys see Firefox?
Yep.
Yeah, so John, so the only version of Seal that is up there is not released. So we would love for the latest version that is up to be released, because that is what is being referenced.
I see. Okay. So that's, let me just get to there really quick. Okay, because it's the head. So if you're looking at, so if you change that to just versions, and I know there's only one right now.
Yes.
So it's the head and it's not released. And so what you need to have, and that makes sense, is we just need to create a released version. So you need two things. You would like the up-to-date Seal, but right away, if we just gave you a released version, that would help.
Well, so the up-to-date was both in regards to this, but also in regards to at Open Concept Lab. So the one appearing in Open Concept Lab, like in the just jump there as well. The one appearing here was also not the latest. So so two things. Yeah, we would like the latest, but the latest released version, not just.
So it's March. Is that what it was seeing on there?
Pardon?
Was it a March release version?
Here or?
Yeah, on the OCL site. I thought we.
Oh, okay, on the OCL side, the date is 29th March. Yes. No. Okay, no. So this is when it was added to the
Demo site.
to the demo site. This is
Yeah,
not
that's
when.
okay.
Let me just go to the CSS. Sorry.
I am showing on staging that we released. We did a release of the 2018 June dictionary. I would guess that's the same one that we have in QA and demo then.
What's the date again? Sorry.
It was 2018 June on staging. Here is the link.
Let me just jump to that.
There you go.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
This.
So there's definitely been one since then.
Yeah, but this is 2018, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of releases since then. We just hadn't been updating it in OCL. So I think, so the first thing we can do is we'll make sure that QA and demo, when they are deployed, it'll create a released source version for the contents that are there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then separately, we'll work on getting the one from August 2019, so the new content that Andy has provided.
Right. And then also, so this issue I had opened on GitHub was in regards to this. So this head is showing November 8th, 2016. And yet there are clearly like later versions than that. Yeah. So I would assume that this is also incorrect.
So yeah, the head is no different than 2018-6. So that is the same copy.
Wait, how's that possible if there was a release version in June of 18?
Because head isn't, I mean, we have an updated head. So, I mean, we did an update to CL in 2018 and then haven't applied any additional updates.
So that's interesting. So I'm not sure how that's it. So on OCL, people who subscribe to head, they can't really anyway, I guess, right? So they're not.
You can't subscribe to head. You can only subscribe to a version.
What do they see when they're searching? I thought that if you were just searching in the UI, I thought you'd be searching head.
Yeah, typically, yeah.
Yeah. So, John, I guess I'm wondering, how is it possible that head has a date that is before another released version?
Yeah, it's that 2016. So because the head version, when it was created, the head version is actually created as just a container, and it's created when the source was created. So that actually means that the source itself was created in 2016. I hadn't thought of that before. That's really confusing. We'll just get that removed. For head, the only thing that's relevant is when was it updated? When's the last update?
Okay, so this is created.
The head will always be created when the source was created.
Okay, so this date should be an updated date, not a created date. That would make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I guess let me just maybe note that on the issue so that we don't forget that. Okay, so the other thing was, let me just jump back to the issue repo. So yeah, right now, if you jump to demo, like this. So it's not. This seems to have been another problem with the index updates. So it's not showing any concepts when you hit that endpoint. That issue is still open somewhere here. Let's see. yeah, I think you had asked Raf to take a look at it. I don't think that he has had a chance yet. So we'd also love help with following this up, John, if you get a minute.
I mean, we're dead in the water right now because you can't see.
Let's see. So that's ticket 131. Try 1 second.
So you do see custom concepts that are created. It's only the OpenMRS, or sorry, the CL concepts that don't display. Because I thought if you had a custom, yeah, like if you hear.
No, I think, yeah, it's all of them. So even.
Go ahead and select custom on the filter though. Oh, that's interesting. There was one time I was actually able to see it.
Yeah, no, actually, I think last night it was actually working. They were actually appearing. But then this morning when I looked at it again, they were not there again.
So this is due to the redeployments, right? And so it's the index is getting messed up on the redeployment. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, I can't be sure because it happens in between. So like sometimes it happens after deployment, sometimes it happens after a while. So I think it's just maybe something dies and some index is not updated somewhere, or but I don't think it's just down to a particular deployment.
Okay. Okay. Let me. I'm going to reply to that ticket right now and see if that'll get Rafal's attention.
Okay. Let's see, follow up deployment of CL. Okay. So yeah. So let me just go through sort of what is. Okay, so something new came up yesterday in regards to this count. Andrew mentioned something, and when I looked at it, I noticed that the count that you were displaying after importing concepts included the mappings. So we've added a ticket for restricting that count to only the added concepts and not include the mappings in that count, since it gets confusing. That should be done by end of tomorrow. And then let's see. So last week, Darius had mentioned something in regards to this page.
Oh, you're not sharing anymore. Which page?
Oh, sorry. Let me just share. So, okay, let me just. He wanted so demo probably has most sources. So like he wanted the most relevant sources to appear first on this list. And he said he would share a list of those particular sources, but he hasn't gotten around to doing that. So that's the one thing we would have.
Sources, that was different from classes, right? So sources isn't the only source that's reasonable either your local dictionary or CL?
Okay, so.
Oh wait, sorry. This one for mappings or for any? Sorry, this was for mappings. Oh.
Yes, sources for mappings. I mean, for answers and sets that is the case, but for mappings we had not done. That was not the case.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Here you find there are quite a bit more.
Yeah, I don't think we can restrict any of those mappings right now.
Yeah. So Darius had said that you'd move the most relevant one. You'd provide us a list of the most relevant ones. So it's not
okay. So the order, I think, in which they appear on OpenMRS, which is the source ID, I believe, is how it's sorted by. So SNOMED was 1, SNOMED CT was 1, NP was 2. Yeah, because I mean, things like locales and classes and stuff like that really aren't map sources.
Yeah. Let me just demo. That's not the endpoint, is it? It is. Okay, so let me just. I'm not sure how many there are.
I see. There we are. Okay. Yeah. So there's none of this. The source ID is not. The subscription model must have those hard coded, Jonathan, I guess, to put them back in the right places inside of OpenMRS.
Yeah, that part I actually don't know how Rafal implemented that. So,
Okay.
but I think it does. I think it knows it's got the hard coded links to the repositories in OCL work for the lookups for the classes and all those others.
Okay, so there is no way to order by some other number there. So, I mean, I guess I could give you a list of the most popular ones that I use to try to put them up at the top.
For locales, you mean?
These are for sources. So right now you're getting all the sources in just looks like the order in which they were initially imported.
Oh,
so
I see.
locales
Yep.
is a source, which I would never use as a mapping.
So I wonder if it would be so I wonder if like how dynamic these sources are, but wouldn't it make sense for MVP to sort of just have a list of the source and the URL, or would that not be a good idea?
So you mean instead of doing this as an API hit, but actually just have a hard-coded list?
Yeah. I mean, depending on how dynamic they are, I feel like that would be safer for now.
Well, they're certainly not dynamic, but and they have to match exactly. Any change to that would blow up the subscription module.
Okay.
Or is it going to? Or no, because it's basically going to write. It's going to write back the UUID or something to OCL, because the API, when you've selected a source for a map, it's not what's it actually sending back to the API?
It's sending. Yeah. Yes. Go on.
Oh, the ID there. It doesn't use UID is completely internal to OCL.
Oh, okay. All right. So the ID. So as long as the IDs were correct, then we really could just give them a list of which ones to use for the first version. I mean, because there's certainly a lot of them, especially for like some of the SNOMED NP and things like that were only used for old versions of OpenMRS to not, because we didn't have relationship type. So it seems like we could even clean the list up and just have, SNOMED CT, ICD-10, LOINC, RX norm, just all the ones that are relevant. I suppose we could run a distinct on that current mapping table to see what were the ones I've ever used.
Okay, so if that sounds like something that's feasible, then I guess I could, I don't know, or you could run through this list and just pick them out. I know what that sounds like. That sounds.
You mean you just sort of comment them out or something?
No, like right now, just get their IDs and then later we'll just pick the ID and URL and just put them. Or we could let you do this and then just provide them on talk, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, if this is really only going to be used for people doing mappings, then I probably could just go through this list and identify or bold or whatever the ones that we should keep. It's hard to.
Would it make sense to just have the hand-picked ones just always show up at the top, and then you could show the rest below it, just so that we wouldn't have to revise this when people start using other sources?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I think, what the original proposal was. I don't have a problem with that, really.
Yeah, I mean, that also works. If you can, I don't know how we would ask for this to be sorted, but if that can be done, that also works. So I'll basically just be looking for guidance from you guys on this.
Oh, but because you're reading it directly from the API,
yes, that is
there's
correct.
no way to sort it without having a list anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Darius had said that we could just get the API, like the results from the API call, and then sort those results before presenting them. That is why we need a list.
But if you're not sorting on one of the metadata elements in the column, then you're basically going to have to keep a list of the sort.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I think we need a decision on this, guys. What sounds like it's the most feasible?
Yeah, technically, I don't really care as long as it doesn't do something to performance. I can give you, which are the ones that we would want at the top of the list.
Okay, so let me just touch on that performance thing a bit. So right now you'll notice that these options also include like public sources that are created by people, right?
So that means this list will keep getting longer as people create new sources.
That is correct, yes. So yeah, so obviously the ideal thing would be to like fetch these sort of like maybe 10 at a time, but I consider that and the amount of work to sort of rebuild this particular part was not going to make sense at this point.
Yeah, that's not going to be scalable over time if every source suddenly automatically appears there. Every public source. So is that list currently being built by combining the API? Well, it can't be the API call because they're not all on there right now. Or is that the API for?
Oh no, this is QA. The other one was on demo.
Okay. But it's basically concatenating whatever the API says with all of the public ones, or is the API returning all of the public ones?
Yes, that's right. The API is returning all the public ones.
So if you had a sort order that was being maintained for the high priority ones, all those public ones are going to end up at the bottom anyway then. So that seems okay.
It seems, okay, so I guess let me just ask a couple of questions. The first would be, how important is it for people to be able to pick concepts? So okay, for MVP, how important is it that people are able to create mappings from sources that are not among that like high priority list, in particular sources that are created by everyone else in the community?
Well, so the only thing, I guess, so technically the mappings were used by the subscription module to align a item in the collection with an existing concept. So, in other words, if I had a custom concept that I had built on my OpenMRS implementation, and then I went ahead and created a concept up in OCL that matched it, I could put the concept ID on it on OCL and it would not be added. It would just act from then on as an update to my existing one.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's actually working, but it would be, if someone was trying to use the MVP version with an existing dictionary, that would be the only way they could save themselves a lot of work, because otherwise it's going to create duplicate concepts for all of the concepts that are in the collection, but also in the original dictionary.
Right, but we currently have no way of letting them upload that dictionary, right?
No, they would have to do it manually, but they could do it manually by simply adding the source mapping to a concept that was in the collection, and then it would just connect that one to the actual OpenMRS version. So, I mean, I suppose the other way to do that, I don't know, is to pick another source ID from the collection and just go and stick it in the OpenMRS dictionary. I think what Jonathan was worried about is that by breaking the link to the API on this, that we're going to have to go back and fix that as soon as someone wants a different one. Whereas by just putting them all in the list, but just making sure people don't have to scroll very often, because the top ones are the ones they want, it keeps open our options.
Yeah, and my concern for MVP was, this will not scale well, because right now this endpoint is literally fetching all of the sources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that source, or is that drop down selecting any source that this user has access to, or is it just the public sources? How are you populating the list? What was the query?
It's public sources only.
Public. I mean, neither is entirely scalable. I guess I do think what Andy said seems like a reasonable MVP approach, which is, put 4 or 5 of them, the preferred ones at the top, and then maybe put a separator and then include the full list below. And if you could, you can style things in a drop down, right? You could like bold or do something to kind of show that those preferred ones are the ones that we want to steer people towards. And I think that works for the MVP, at least for a while, because we're not going to have over 100 sources for some time.
Wow.
Well, that may not be true, but
yeah. Like I'm worried about. Okay, cool. So let's put that together.
I guess, I mean, what it might end up being is, the one that would be scalable is where that drop down is instead dynamic. And I don't know if that makes sense to spend time on, but where it's more of a browsing, or where you start to type and it's going to pull from the API matching requests or matching sources. Yeah,
I mean, that would be more ideal, definitely. But then again, that makes it harder, like to put the top ones at the most used ones at the top, unless someone has to first search for a source that they want to use.
So guys, I have to drop, unfortunately, because got to meet somebody for dinner here. So I'll try to get you at least the prioritized list later tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys can figure out what you want to do with it.
Where's
okay, all right.
Are you in Lyon?
Yes.
Right now? Oh man, awesome. Well, say hey to Hamish for me.
Yeah, actually, that's who I'm dealing with.
I'm so jealous. I wish I could join.
Lyon is amazing. The food is so good there.
Please bring us presentation slides on the capacity building for health informatics professionals.
Oh, you know, the Ethiopian Benjamin gave a great talk. I got to get his slides. The capacity building part was only a small piece of it, but it was
Oh,
amazing.
okay. Anyway, I'll reach out to you, but yeah, I'm looking for any information on that, especially postgraduate studies.
Yep,
Yeah,
he did touch on it.
cool. Thank you.
All right, bye everybody.
All right,
Thanks, Andy.
thank you.
Sorry, Lincoln, we broke your spell.
No, it's all right. 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 There was no resolution anyway. It's just something we have to think about.
Okay, so where are we in the current status of affairs?
Yeah. So aside the two things I just mentioned, so the thing of updating the mappings, the added concepts message, and the thing about the sources, which Andrew is going to provide that list. The other two things would just be me checking on whether John has been able to reach Raf on the other two things. Other than that, yeah, we are good to go.
Okay. All right. No, that's okay. So what is the next step of completing this? Are you going to do some bundling, or how is this going to work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's something that we should probably ask John about. Sort of where this will be deployed. I feel like the deployment will just use the same type of architecture, so it's just a matter of where.
Okay.
John, I wonder if there was any clarity on that.
Sorry, was that for me?
Yes. So when this becomes production ready, where will it be deployed? Will demo be the sort of the source, or is it going to move to a more permanent place?
So it will move to the openconceptlab.org, so our production service. And so we've got the other two servers, you're using our QA and demo, so we would push it to staging and to production also.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's basically what I was asking. I guess Cynthia would like to know what that would look like, or
for
Cynthia,
testing,
yes.
do we want to push it now, or I guess is that what you're asking? Like, so what's the right test environment for this? Is it demo, or do we want to push to staging and production?
Yeah, no, I think since Cynthia's good question was around where, like, the final deployment, where exactly that will be.
But maybe before we get there, the question is, are we ready for a final deployment?
I'd like to say yes. But of course,
that bug that Andrew raised some time ago, or not some time ago, I think it was earlier this week. There was a bug that he had mentioned earlier that he considered a bit of a big one. Has that been addressed?
We've mentioned both of those on this call. That was the concepts not showing up, which John is going to look into.
Oh, okay, fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm multitasking, so bear with me.
That's all right.
So, okay, so that's fine. So what I probably need you to do is to please post on the talk thread to confirm whether what you have done is sufficient for at least a beta release.
Okay.
Once they give you the go ahead to say it's a beta release, then please do go ahead and package it, make it look pretty, and make your announcement on talk, and that will conclude your work. Then from there, if there's anything, if you'd like to contribute, then that's the conversation we were having earlier. It differs to the conversation we were having earlier in the call.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Does this seem okay, amenable to everyone else? I see Maura is here. Herbert is here. Herbert, do you have any comments, questions? Because this is now coming to fall on your lap, and you have been very quiet.
Hello, can you get me?
Hi, Herbert.
Yes, we can.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. I continued with a different test, but I got to notice that there is some weird behavior that happens after among the scenarios that were put out after doing the editing of a concept. For example, a shaped concept, after updating it, and then after making the edits, and then you update, you get the updated concept out of the list. And after refreshing the browser, it's when it comes back. Could you have noticed that?
Yes. Was that on demo or on QA? Demo, right?
Yeah, I think demo. It was demo, sure.
I mean, that's something that was happening a while back, but it has not happened in a.
It hasn't happened in.
So I guess again I would have to talk to John about this. So John, it seems like okay. So I don't know how long it takes to update the search index after something after a concept has been added to a collection. But it seems like sometimes it takes more than a second. So when a person like goes to the page immediately after editing, it looks as though the concept is not there yet. I don't know what's. I don't know what could be done about that. Let me see.
So it does sometimes. There is sometimes a delay, but it seems in our testing it seems to be the exception, and we haven't, I guess, taken a dive into that. We have. And I guess there's two pieces. The first is that the solar portion of it doesn't seem to be slow, and so we're thinking of optimizing more there. It seems to be Haystack, which is the link between Python, Mongo, and Solar. That's like what pushes data into the search index, and that is slow. And it looks like the only way to speed it up without a lot of work is to upgrade to Python 3. And because we're just on old versions of the software, so we know we need to do it, and we haven't had the resources. So that's the reason why it's probably not something we're going to be able to resolve soon because of that.
Yeah. How about?
Yeah. Okay, that sounds perfect. Maybe the other issue could be that I got to realize that. When you are adding up a concept, well, I mean, let's just look for something here. The display of error messages that always comes out, I get to see that it really takes, it is quick to move off. The user doesn't see that information that comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this generally on all pages, or is there a particular page?
There is, I think, a particular page. I'm going to try to look for it here, and then I post it to you.
Okay, please do. We can increase that length of time. Okay, let me just note that down as well. Okay, is there anything else about?
No, that is it.
Okay. Okay, Cynthia. Mic check, Cynthia. Okay, so yes.
Sorry, I'm here. Okay, so I think you've have we agreed what is the way forward?
Well, unless
in terms of what needed to be done to get to a beta release, or did Herbert have another concern?
Yes, Herbert's concerns have been noted.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Great. Okay, so I think what's going to happen, those who will be interested in continuing this conversation, we are going to move it to the OpenMRS platform. So this will be the last time we'll be having a call on the Andela link. But I would like us to at least have, continue having these calls, at least in the next few weeks. So next week, maybe 2 meetings after, so that we just kind of finish off whatever is outstanding and at least continue the conversation around specific issues. Herbert will be leading the effort in trying to continue to test, and we will also, as I said, identify an implementer to adopt, at least one implementer to adopt and test in a live environment so that we can actually give more feedback. So that's the main action item. But Lincoln, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. I wish you all the best on your endeavors. Please don't be a stranger here at OpenMRS. We'd like to continue to see you and see your continuous messaging and contributions. And with that, thank you very much, everyone, and have a great evening and day.
All right, cool, thank you. Yeah, I guess Silva and Matthew, if you could please stay on the call after this.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Okay, Lincoln. Thanks.
Yes, all right. Yeah.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Thanks for the work. Thanks for the work.
Yeah,
Bye.
no problem.